His family hate him. The white police hate him. The regular white men and white women hate him. This is a man who is hated by everyone. The only solace that God made for him was us. And when he comes to us and can't get any sanctuary at all, then he don't have no life. And then they win, because what they want to do is to destroy him and make us think that we are better than him, so that we will help the enemy destroy our own man that God gave to us. We have the best man on earth. Everybody want him. He looked better than everybody. He's stronger than everybody. He is the best, the wisest, and the most beautiful. Now, of course, many of our men have been tricked by the enemy too. But since we are the mothers, we are the first face they see. We are the first person they talk to. We the first person to feed them. We do all of that and raise them up. And so if there's a silly man out here, he didn't grow up and be silly. He was silly as a little boy because his mother mismanaged him and didn't reparent him using the truth.
Wow.
Bars. Listen. There's an unfathomable amount of little boys being raised to be the man that the mother hated growing up. It's too many. It's far too many. Let's keep going.
Continue to teach. Whoa. Because
that's powerful. This is what we're dealing with. And the fact that they have taught us to be so insecure, and they have forced their relationship values on us. We don't have anything to do with how the white woman get along with her white man. We got a totally different circumstance. But every time they have an issue or make any issue in the relationship a priority, we jump right on it. We run around that talking about our man gotta have good credit. Give me a break. You know, it's just all nonsense. And they use those things to keep us apart, not to put us together.
And we fall for it. We fall for it as sisters and hook, line, and sinker. And then we wonder why we're alone and miserable. So I want to ask you a question. I would like to ask you a question, just getting right into it, because in your book, you tell sisters, look, you're not equal to your husband. And you go into it very, very well. And you explain that submission really is a key to the happiness, a woman being satisfied. Because I heard what you just said right now. You said a woman is happy to please her man. She should be, at least. Right. So talk to us about the whole battle of the sexes and women fighting for that power and that control in relationships. What can sisters do to try to really enjoy being submissive? What can they do, Doctor?
Well, submissive just really means agreement. I say that all the time.
Just say yes.
It just means that if he gives a direction or comes up with an idea, then we need to think it over and try to get with it, if it makes any sense. And as far as us thinking we're better than him, it ain't nobody better than the black man on the earth. He is the first man that God designed, and everybody else came after him, every nationality, even us. And so we have the man who is supreme over all of the other men on the earth. Now, what we're dealing with is a man who has been wounded and repressed and taught that he does not have any value. And their solution to keeping him in that condition is to convince us to tell him he ain't got no value. And many of us do that. Many of us do that because we're disappointed. You know, I've been talking with the brothers about trying to get in touch with or make peace with their fathers. Because many of our people who didn't have a father, we have that father hunger. And almost everything we know about our father was told to us by our mother, who was mad at him about their relationship. It has nothing to do with us being their child and them being our father. Fatherhood is not based on whether or not he can pay child support or not. We don't care as children. You can't find a child that care whether the father giving them anything. They want their daddy. Yes. And we have deprived them of that based on some rules that white people set up. And we will tell people he don't do nothing for him, so I don't let him see him. And that is the worst thing. That's not hurting the man as much as it's hurting our own child.
Wow.
Oh, right.
Just let me pause real quick. Couple quick things. When she said submission just means agreeableness, and yeah, that it's just as simple and easy as that. And the reason why I wanted to hear that answer is because modern relationships, that's one of the most sought after things from men is agreeableness. Why try to fight me on everything? Why? Why not try to conform? Because the thing is like, oh, but you still want us to lead. You still want us to provide. You know, you still want us, you know, this is not a 50-50 split, yet you still don't want to be agreeable. You still don't want to be agreeable. You disagree so much, so often at such a high rate and frequency. And it's really just the conditioning. You are conditioned to disagree at the rate at which you do, and not to say, maybe he has a bit of a point. Let me see how far he can take this. But instead, the disagreements are just large and often. It's, you know, it's one of the biggest issues. It's one of the biggest issues that so many dudes are just like, I'm out the game for right now until, you know, this modern women issue is then fixed, because you can't want the benefits of a modern woman and the benefits of a traditional woman at the same time. You can't do that. I mean, that's essentially wanting a cake, the ice cream with the sprinkles, the gummy bears, the chocolate chip, all of the toppings. That's what you want. You want all of the advantages of each type of the lifestyle and none of the negatives, not to mention with the benefits of being a man, being masculine. You want the benefits of men, right? But not the cons of being a man. I mean, it's so much of that that's baked in. But, you know, I get it when you have so much of our media dedicated to pushing these ideals. I mean, I absolutely get it. But what Sister Shahrazad Ali is saying is that so many modern women would just be so much happier if they tap back into where their evolution has actually brought them without this peppering on of the nature from our society. Another thing that she talked about was this longing for father. And I think that it is so true. And actually, I think that is a component as to why the manosphere, right, or content generated towards men is blowing up as much as what it is at this rapid rate, because men are discovering father figures, right, big brother figures, uncle figures, via content creator within this space that are teaching them things that they have never heard of before, in only the way that a man or a father or an uncle or a much older brother can. Very interesting.
Thank you, Doctor. We got to give them.
We have to work on those kind of things. You know, even if we don't like the father, and most of us don't after a while. Especially if you didn't stay with him or get married, if you don't like him. You liked him at one point, or you wouldn't have the child.
Right.
So you do like him. It's just we don't like him no more, and we make the child suffer for our dislike. And that's wrong. It ain't never going to be right. And we'll never have a normal child until we reunite our men with their own fathers, so that they will know we need to have a moratorium on us all hating and being mad at our fathers. Because it's hard now for a black man to pay all of the things, to have a job. He's living in a society, as I say, where he is totally kept down as much as possible. So if it's like that in 2021, what do y'all think it was like that in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s? He didn't have nothing. He was pushed out based on money most of the time. Because we all need the money. And so, you know, we have let them use that. That still is not more important than trying to have that relationship with him. And yes, we should be trying to rebuild him. Many of them, they have just given up. You should hear the letters they write to me. And many of them, well, you know, they'll tell me, they'll say, thank you. You finally explained some things to me my own mother wouldn't tell me. Because when people say I'm giving up secrets, I'm not giving up secrets. I'm just leveling the playing field.
Oh, right. Oh, bars. Listen, here's what I was also thinking through as well is that, women, we're on two different playing fields, men and women. We're measured incredibly differently. We have different privileges, okay? Many women can live a life less accountable with less consequences within their life and also have systems or engines that they can leverage to have power over men. Okay? Men, okay? And also too, as I say this, I do understand that this deadbeat father that just had and just ghosted, just left. Never wanted to be in the right. I do understand that. But men, totally different playing field, totally different measuring stick, totally different rubric. Okay? Whereby more accountable for our actions. We have to be. Because we understand the consequences of not being. We understand that. We have to understand that because we get hit with the pure and utter reality because we don't have handouts, at least to the degree of our counterparts. And then also we feel the consequences of those same systems that I talked about before being levied against us. So I get why there's some dudes that are just like, I'm out of here. I get it. I absolutely get it. And until we can have these dialogues, I don't think that women will have the empathy to understand how much more different that it is. So to me, it's almost a slap in the face to keep on pushing this equality thing when we're judged very differently, way different consequences for our actions, way different.
We know everything about them. They haven't known anything about us, and it has allowed us to manipulate and play them because they didn't know what they was dealing with. All I did is try to give him a hand to say, hey, this is what you're dealing with.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor. You said something in all that wisdom that you just imparted to the family and blessed us with. You said a lot of them have given up, and I want to talk to you about this movement. And I talked to you a little bit about it before when we had that interview last year with Sonetter. Oh. Shout out to Sonetter. Now, the brothers are giving up, and they're calling it a movement like men going on their own way, the red pill. Men are calling it the manosphere. They're saying, forget about it. We're done with the black woman. We're going to tell her to go her way. Smiling. Have you heard about this movement?
You know what's hilarious is I asked this question on my last video and I said, I wonder what she thinks about this whole, right, the MGTO, the manosphere, the red. I really want to. So come on, let's go.
I have heard it a lot, but you have to remember they're dealing with decades of resistance and hostility. And having their money taken and not being able to have a proper meal to even eat. Most of our men, and I'm around different grocery stores, some of those stores where they sell a plated dinner or a little carton of food they're given. And if any sister is looking for a man, she need to go to the grocery store around 5 or 6 o'clock because they all in line.
Hungry.
They all lined up trying to get a plate of food for $10.
Wow. That's right. That's
and
right.
I tell the sisters, if you start cooking, he'll come by your house. He'll show up.
Word. Shit, I'm always hungry.
There a while, okay? Just food. Food is what sustains life. We have always been the people who have to nurture the entire family with food.
Facts.
Our men are in bad health because they're eating wrong. They're eating all of that salt. They're eating pork. They eating all of that grease. They doing everything because they buying food from the enemy. See? When we could fix a brother something to eat, as it stands now, a man can't even ask a woman, can she cook? That's a turnoff. And she'll get rid of him. If he say, hey, baby, can you cook?
They get defensive.
That's the end of that. Wow. Because that's how our women have been programmed to believe. And I tell them all the time, yeah, you got good credit, you got credit cards, you got that BMW. Let me see you crawl up in the bed with it at night.
Oh, yeah.
Decades of resistance. Powerful.
Thank you. No, doctor, I love you. I'm telling you
Oh my
something.
God.
You are blessed. The Almighty, the Most High, Allah, has blessed you to be so, you touch the vein, you touch the nerve of everything that has been laid upon the Black man and ultimately the Black woman. Because when we listen to you, it's not you putting the man up is helping us as women. You are saving us. So with me saying all that, when you talked about food, you took it all the way back home. You took it back to our values from our mothers and the mothers before us. Yeah. Now you started out talking about food.
There are women in our community, in other communities, I want to say, and their man may not be there. So they put a picture of the man on the mantle, and they teach their children to honor that picture. Okay? Because that's their father.
Yes.
And it represents a decision that I made to lay down with him and reproduce and make this child. Okay? We don't even show our children their daddy. And if we say anything about him, it's usually negative. And it's usually based on something that we have going with the man that we mad about. But we always mad at him. And he do things to make us mad. But we gonna have to learn to back that up some. It's a lot of people that do things against us to make us mad. And we don't treat them as bad as we treat our baby daddy.
Oh, thank you.
Our brothers, most of them, they don't want to get married because it's such a pain in the behind dealing with us about marriage. Yeah. We want this real expensive ring. We want to give money to some other white people or some Greeks or Asians or somebody other than self. We want to be able to have all this fabulous furniture and home, not just for ourselves, but to show off in front of other people. And so we put a pressure on our man. And then if we break up with our man, then we put him under the child support system that destroys the rest of his life, destroys his credit. They can take his car, stop him from getting health insurance. All of these things happen under the child support program. And the way the devil has got it set up, if he makes $500 a week, they want $400 of it. See, they don't want to leave him anything to even survive on.
Would you say that things are worse than they've ever been as far as Black women and Black men, but especially, I got to say it, our sisters are always thinking about, I got to have this, the latest this, the latest that. I got to look to have all the money. Talk to us about the materialism and how sisters can work on that to try to not look for a man to have millions of dollars to qualify as a problem.
This is another problem we have. We don't have nothing to do. And women that don't have nothing to do, okay? Women that don't have nothing to do, put to put on their fingernails, their eyelashes, their breath, their buttocks.
First world country.
They Louis Vuitton, they Chanel, they Prada, all of them other white people names on different things, okay? Our women don't have nothing to do. Now, there are some churches who are starting back to having knitting groups. They're having crocheting groups and they're teaching women how to do different skills, And a lot of what I talk, people say, oh, sister, that's old school. No, that's the school where things were working. Oh. That's the school where we could get along with our man and he would come home to us.
Wow.
Sheesh.
Yes.
And so it's not, there are universal principles that govern everything. And the things that I talk about in relationship are just some basic standards that we must practice if we want a better man. He can't rise until we rise.
Yes.
Yo, it's such an interesting and fair point as to say that it's essentially just not cool to teach women how to be a good wife. It's not at all, right? Like it's not popping right now. Like, name me the last song, that was said something about being a good wife. But then name me the last song that teaches you how to split your viscous innards on the dance floor, right? Drop it like it's hot, right? It's just, I don't know, like, it's just so crazy. It's so crazy how media essentially just takes the opposites of like what was traditional. They just take the opposite of that and just make a song about it so they can divert eyes from what you feel like is evolutionary. To my biology, this over here feels correct. But then, damn, look at the way she's swinging around that pole to that fantastic beat of that song. That's what I want to do. Let me go over there. And then you come back a decade later as a post-war veteran, and then no one wants you.
Not in the women's lib thing, but in being able to be a woman to him. We don't give our man no peace. We nag him all the time. We ask him for things he can't afford. Do you realize that everything we want from him is connected to money, and everything he wants from us don't cost nothing? He want a smile. He want a, hey, baby, how you doing? It's going to be okay. Oh, no, we can work it out.
Peace.
He wants that. That don't cost nothing.
Talk to him.
Everything we want is, and I want a number 10 hair weave. You know, I want to get my nails done. I need my new sneakers. I mean, you know, we press him for things that the enemy deliberately keeps him from getting.
Wow.
That's a lot of pressure on a man. So I can understand them saying, hey, we tired of fighting with y'all. We going on our own way. Y'all better all try to get you one before they gone, period. I'm telling you.
Facts.
Because they are sick of the nonsense we practice.
Wow.
Oh, Sister Shahrazad Ali, spit that ish. Listen, she's ultra instinct red pill right now. Like, who knew? She's going in. Oh, let's get back in.
I want to ask you, because I know this is fire. This is medicine.
Yes.
She is the doctor, Shahrazad Ali. See, back in, I'm not as young as I look, okay? But the sisters in the 20s.
She's cool.
The sisters in their 20s, this is medicine. This is medicine for them, because they need to hear this, because they don't have the mothers of the olden times to tell them, because they have babies raising babies. But I want to ask you to keep this flow going, this healing going, and then we're going to have some people call in and ask some questions.
Yeah,
but
we're not. We're living in a time where all the values have been perverted and turned around.
Fact, this is what I'm saying.
We didn't keep a man back in the day by twerking. Okay? That was not enough. It's not enough now. And the fact that many of our younger sisters are out in the middle of the streets and in the clubs and everywhere else with their naked, not clothes on, with their naked behinds off, shaking their butt in front of men and women and children, old people, anybody. It's just absurd. This shows you we are the queen of the universe, the mother of civilization.
yes.
And look what the examples. Every nation is judged by its worst examples. And that information, when we have our men out there acting ignorant and our women out there, it goes all around the world because of technology. And so other people in other countries think that's the black woman.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. They do. And then talking about roles, I mean, when you say twerking and how women, our role in society, can you talk to the sisters about femininity in a relationship and how far it works and how much power it actually gives them? Femininity?
Well, I think actually all women know when to get soft. They know when to soften their voice. And they know when to do a lot of things when we want something.
Or in the workplace. Okay. All the emotions that you have at home during your period all of a sudden just go away when it has to do with you and your manager, huh? Oh, then you want to be submissive. Then you want to be agreeable in order to keep your job. But when there's far less consequences, then you let your emotions fly. Interesting.
Okay. And, you know, it's like sex. Don't nobody have to teach you how to do it. So all women already know how to be feminine. Okay. But now there are some instructions that could be given about dressing more modestly. You know, there was a time when the way you could distinguish the whores from the civilized and dignified woman was her wardrobe. So the whores dressed one kind of way and the decent women dressed another way. But the enemy stopped making decent clothes. And so now all the women look like whores. You can't tell hardly the difference. And so we have to have women who feel more confident in themselves that they don't have to use their body just to entice a man. It don't matter what kind of body you got. If the man loves you, he gonna love your body. Facts. So that's not really the issue. And I keep telling the sisters, it ain't none of what we think it is. It ain't how your makeup look. It ain't how fine you think you are. It ain't how big your butt is. It is none of those things. It don't last. It may get his attention for a minute, but because it's a low desire, it will not withstand the test of time. And when I say time, I mean a month.
Oh, let me talk, Dr. Ali. I want to talk to you about that, because in these YouTube streets and in our communities, there are men that are saying they're high value, and they're actually telling women the opposite. They're saying it's about how you look. And they're saying, if you don't look like anything, you won't have a valuable husband. So can you, for a minute, talk to the brothers about that?
Well, no, because we were talking about the fake stuff, okay? Like when I say a scale of 1 to 10, I mean natural, like natural, without the makeup, without the heels, without all of that stuff, without the nails, all of that, the weave, the fake, without all that stuff, natural scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. And that is because dudes are visual. So, but when it comes to attracting to get viscous innards, right? When it comes to that, like, yeah, I can see how all of that stuff is because you're peacocking, right? You are adorning all of this stuff in order to gain attention. But when it comes to actually keeping one of us, it's not related. But let's see what Shahrazad Ali has to say.
Well, I don't think that's really, remember that some of them are confused too by the enemy, but that's not what I think they mean by that. What they mean is that even though we don't like to do a lot of cooking, we like to do a lot of eating. And so he's saying he don't want us weighing 250 and 300 pounds trying to wear a thong. Okay? He's saying that he wants us to go to the gym. He wants us to exercise and keep ourselves up. He don't want to come home and your head sticking out, your hair all over your head, and you looking wild and savage and mad. That's what he means. He wants us to put some effort to look nice for him. Looking nice does not necessarily mean that you have to wear Prada and Louis Vuitton and all of that nonsense from the white people, because that's nothing that belongs to us anyway.
Right.
Yes.
See?
Wow.
So, and he don't mean that you got to garb up and cover up from head to toe. He just means to dress modest and stop getting dressed to go out to try to attract another man to prove to him that somebody else wants you.
Oh, wow. And what? Let me ask you about that. You are on fire. I am so blessed to have you here sharing this.
I gotta go. So y'all come on. Ask me now. I gotta go.
Do you wanna take some calls? Just a couple?
Why don't we do that?
All right, guys, I'm gonna pause it right there. They're about to go into some phone calls. There's also portions of this clip that I probably took out. Again, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description box down below so you can see the full interview. Guys, I'll let you know, I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna try to find her email address, something. I gotta reach out. I gotta have her over here on the channel at least at some point in order to get the conversation started. I'd love to be able to interview her. I think it would go crazy, the type of interaction that we can have, especially with the dudes in the space, and knowing kind of the consistent message that she operates under and the love that she received on the prior videos that I uploaded to the channel. It only seems fitting that we get her on the channel. She hit on so many different topics, so many different things that, again, the same thing as when I had a conversation recently on the Ayanla Van Sant video. She's transferring the knowledge to the young women that are there that hopefully can take on and carry the message. Because I think far too often messages, especially from Shahrazad Ali in the way that she talks about it, the women that need to hear this message the most are the ones that are just not willing to listen, especially because it's across generations. Okay, fantastic video today. I feel like there was not even much for me to say at the end of the day because it was just so much goodies, so much bombs dropped. Guys, again, link down in the description box down below. Go up there and check out the video. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.